There was a question about the joinery of these cubes, these stressed skin structures, especially as you can see, there's a miter joint here. How did that miter joint marry up with the internal framing, and how did that all work? I thought I had made drawings of all of the 4 cube styles and designs, but when I look back at my drawings from 2014 when we did this show, I only did the drawing for the big, large 4 foot by 4 foot cube. It was 3 foot 5.5 by 3 foot 5.5 by 3 foot 5.5, but I'm calling it 4 foot because that's an easier number to say. I did drawings for that, and I did my engineering plan, and then I think I just winged it for all the other sizes. Just after I built the big ones, I just modeled that process off on all of the others. And what the drawings are showing is, yes, there's a miter joint here, and it looks like I built the front face and the back face as 2 panels, kind of like soft flats, kind of like picture frames. And I used a corner block to attach and secure that together in each corner. But I probably inset the corner block that way, and then I trimmed that excess out after it was glued and stapled. That way I could attach a board like this, connecting the front and the back face together, and then that would give me a good, strong top structure with this framing and that framing on that side to then add in all of my diagonals. And I'm pretty sure I did my diagonals all on 45 degrees just to make all the angles simple. To fill in the sides, I probably added another block down here and then did the same thing, diagonals, 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 and again on the other side I went opposite direction with the diagonals. And that's probably how it all came together. Without tearing them apart, I can't really say that was 11 years ago, so I'm working off of memory, but that's what seems to be suggested. The spacing of these, if you saw my chart and the original video, with 1/4-inch plywood, I found a chart for stressed skin structures that suggested that your supports needed to be 9 inches apart if you are putting your plywood on parallel to your framing. And if you're putting your plywood on perpendicular to the framing, you can be as wide as 10 inches apart. I think I went for something like 8 3/4 of an inch between all of the diagonals, and that's how I spaced it out to make sure I was getting enough support and coverage in all directions. And because I'm going on a diagonal to the grain, it's still technically perpendicular. It's definitely not parallel. It's not exactly perfectly perpendicular, but it's enough of a cross-grain relationship that it should be fine with the 10-inch spacing. But I think I went smaller than that, as you see on the drawings. It's 8 3/4 of an inch or so between stringers. So that's the basic structure. That's it. Instead of using these corner blocks, which is our standard flat framing construction, and we inset those 3/4 of an inch so that the flats can marry up on 90-degree corners. I could have done a dowel joint here. We could have done a biscuit. I'm not a big fan of biscuits. I've had very little use for them in theatrical construction. They can't replace the corner block on my flat. They're just not strong enough. Even with glue and clamping them, they're not going to be as strong as this scab joint with glue and staples when I've got a flat that's got a stretched canvas on it. I have used biscuits occasionally at home for aligning things, which is what biscuits are good for. I used a biscuit joiner to make notches for Z hardware, Z clips to attach a tabletop to a frame for a piece of scenery. So those are the types of things I would use a biscuit joiner in theater. I wouldn't use it for any serious joinery. It's just not strong enough. But in this case, it probably would hold this while we attached everything else and put all the other framing in, and it would be fine. I think the 1/4 ply block behind it is stronger, and with the 1/4 ply block, if I'm only going to be putting my framing here and there, then I can run this all the way up to the edge. I don't need to leave that 3/4 inch gap because I'm not making a flat. I just need to leave the space so that I can put that framing, so that I can get a good structure there across the top and bottom. I'm pretty sure everything was stapled together with narrow crown staples. Could I have used less framing than I did? Probably, but I wanted it to be strong and stable and last a long time. I didn't want to have anyone fall through or punch their foot through the structure. I wanted to make sure it was safe.